We're testing out the new gimbal camera. Lombardi herself doing great work today. Shout out to her. Did we see your thumb? Yeah, I think we did. Nice manicure, by the way. We talk about Purdy and we talk about the fact that he's going to be on a different plane than Matthew Stafford. Well, Brock Purdy is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFC West. He's going to pass Kyler Murray, who's in the 40s. He's going to be higher than Matthew Stafford, who is in the mid-40s as well. And he's definitely going to be higher paid than somebody like Sam Darnold, who's in the low 30s for the Seattle Seahawks. So Purdy's going to be top of the NFC West, whether people like it or not. And there's so much ridiculous debate about this. I can't believe people are still hung up on is he worth $50 million? No way he should cross $50 million. Guys, the 49ers' lowest offer is essentially going to cross the $50 million mark. Like, that's a given. Like, anybody who has been following this with any sort of consistency knows that this is definitely going to be a $50 million or more per year contract. The question is, how close does it get to Dak Prescott's deal, which is $60 million per year and the high water mark? Dak had wild amounts of leverage over the Dallas Cowboys because they waited too long to get the deal done. So that's why he was able to, get the $60 million the day, I think it was the day of the start of the season last year. Brock Purdy is going to be a little bit different. They're negotiating this a year early. They don't have the same leverage point as Dak Prescott did, but they still have reference points, like Jared Goff's contract, like Tua's contract, like Trevor Lawrence's contract, all quarterbacks whom Brock Purdy has outperformed. They still have these reference points that they can use to make sure that this deal is done in a fair way. Now, one of the main things about this contract is that the 49ers, in this case, are dealing with a higher salary cap than existed when all of these other deals that I'm talking about were done. Even the Dak Prescott contract was negotiated at a significantly lower salary cap than this Brock Purdy one is being negotiated. In fact, the cap is raised 24% over the course of the past 2 seasons. 2 seasons ago is when we saw deals for Jared Goff, for Trevor Lawrence. So if you're talking about percentage of the salary cap, there's going to be inflation. There has been in every other position that we've seen this offseason. Receiver has crossed $40 million with Jamar Chase. George Kittle has eclipsed the $19 million mark right after Trey McBride became the first $19 million tight end. You could go through defensive line, you could with Myles Garrett. Every single one of these positions has reached a new high water mark because of cap inflation, because the cap has grown, so the percentage of the cap of each of these contracts is going to be higher. I don't expect quarterback to be all that different. I get it that Dak Prescott's number is a little bit of an outlier, but even if you base Brock Purdy's deal on Tua's deal, on Trevor Lawrence's deal, the cap inflation should help push it well into the 50 millions at least. And again, I'll circle back to George Kittle's contract, and I've got a big piece coming up on the San Francisco Standard analyzing the contract. He was able to get this over 19 million through some funny money at the end. So they were able to get the title to George Kittle and his agent, Jack Bekta. They're able to essentially set them at the high water mark for tight ends without breaking the bank, because the last year, 2029 of that contract, is filled with non-guaranteed money that Kittle may not even be likely to earn. We see this happen across all NFL contracts, and it's what satisfies the player and the agent in terms of APY, but also allows the team to have a deal that doesn't break the bank and allows the team to build around the particular player. I would expect nothing different for Brock Purdy and the 49ers. I would expect them to find a deal that works for both sides, because that's just how NFL business operates. And Purdy will get his APY. The 49ers will get their cap relief. They'll actually be able to probably sign Purdy to a cap hit of only about 15 million or so this year, based on my calculations. And when that happens, the 49ers will probably still have over $20 million in 2025 space. And once that all is done, they'll be locked, loaded, and ready to go for 2025. A good view to talk about Drake Jackson, who has resurfaced. He posted that he'll be wreaking havoc. It's not wrecking havoc, he's going to be wreaking havoc this year. So take that for what it's worth. I think anything the 49ers get out of Drake Jackson this year can be treated as found money, can be looked at as a plus, because we weren't expecting anything coming off of the knee injury, coming off of the surgery a few months ago. He was still in a fairly big brace, and I think that the 49ers have obviously made a lot of draft selections along the defensive line, have restocked that room. Prior to Mykel Williams, the highest pick that they had used on a defensive lineman since picking Nick Bosa in 2019 at number 2 overall was Drake Jackson at number 61 overall in 2022. So he was 61 overall, a good 200 picks before Brock Purdy at number 262 overall. And he had the 3 sacks in the season opener of 2023 against Pittsburgh. He has shown some flashes, but unfortunately hasn't shown an ability to stay healthy, and they still need him to be stronger against the run. But Drake Jackson, within the context of the 49ers' larger pass rush now, when you got Mykel Williams coming in with power, right? Big time power rusher off one of the edges. When you've got the new defensive tackles, and I think they really, really like Alfred Collins and CJ West as a DeForest Buckner, DJ Jones type of combination. Mykel's like your Eric Armstead. Drake Jackson can be your athletic speed rushing type. If he can come back healthy and give you anything, it is found money. And the one defensive end that the 49ers don't really have, unless Drake Jackson shows up and delivers, is that speed rushing type at the edge rushing position. Robert Beal Jr. might be that, but he hasn't really shown any productivity yet in pass rushing, so that's still a traits-based projection. And Drake Jackson actually has shown a little bit of productivity, and that's, I think, what's tremendously exciting for the 49ers if he can get back and healthy and give them anything. I think even without Drake, this defensive line can generate in its own way, and that's power, right? Collapse the pocket. If you watch Mykel's tape at Georgia, one of the biggest criticisms is, oh, this guy didn't produce in the sack column. But if you actually know what you're looking for, he's back in the tackle, he's backing guards into the quarterback very, very frequently. And I think he do that at the NFL level, given the measurables that he brings to the table. So you get power from Mykel, you get everything, you get all-world pass rushing from Nick Bosa. You see what the new defensive tackles give you. It's got to be more than what they had last year. They're terrible at defensive tackle, pass rushing-wise, especially after Javon Hargrave got hurt. Then you could bring in your specialist. And I think that's where somebody like Drake Jackson does fill in. All right, there's my birthday 49ers update. No more work for me today. We'll see you guys later.